When all's said and done, is there something wrong with South Africa's electoral system that perhaps prevents public representatives from doing what they're elected to? In this last part of the Kgalema Motlanthe interview, that's what ENCA's Vuyo Mvoko began by asking the former president.
One of the problems in our electoral system is that it's for provinces and national, it's proportional representation system, which means that parties contest elections, and depending on the number of seats they win, they then draw the list of people who must occupy those seats. So it's not direct. At local level, the third tier, it's a hybrid. There's constituency base and PR. So I think one of the areas that needs to be fixed is the constitutions. As long as we retain this proportional representation system, then there must be a requirement linked to the party funding, because now parties are going to be funded by from the public kit. So one of the requirements ought to be that the constitutions of these political parties must be aligned to the Constitution of the Republic in very clear terms, so that the supremacy of the Constitution of the Republic must be there in the constitutions of these political parties. Because what happens is the Chief Justice swears in all these MPs, they take an oath of allegiance to the Constitution, and yet they are placed there by their parties. And so the leadership of the parties can actually direct them to take positions which are not in line with the Constitution of the Republic. So you have a situation, an anomaly, where the party constitution trumps the supreme law of the land. I think that's where the mischief is. And the best way, if we retain the proportional, either we amend the Electoral Act to create, constituencies, and or the constitutions of each one of the political parties that contest elections must be aligned to the Constitution of the Republic in very clear ways, so that the preeminence of the Constitution of the Republic as the supreme law of the land should be also articulated in the constitutions of these political parties, because otherwise it exposes these public representatives who remember the oath that they took, to be vulnerable to the whims of their leaders.
Isn't the best solution perhaps going for a constituency-based system?
Remember, the Van Zyl-Slabbert Commission made that kind of recommendation.
But it didn't suit political parties.
Well, at that time, the consideration was that since we were really in our formative stages as a democracy, and that therefore as many diverse views should find a representation, and that were we to go, at that point to constituency-based elections, it would have led to the disappearance of many parties, and would perhaps by now be having 2, 3, 4 parties, or 5 even.
But does that argument still hold?
Well, to the extent that this system has also created its own difficulties, it is perhaps time to do an evaluation, an assessment.
Like, I mean, when we saw that floor crossing was doing a great deal of damage, we moved swiftly to actually do away with it. So why can't we do away with things that are clearly not entrenching the very democratic system that we thought they would entrench?
No, that's why I'm suggesting that perhaps the alignment would go a long way towards giving, clarity that those who serve as public representatives must do so with the understanding that they owe allegiance to the Constitution of the Republic.